Welcome to Farther Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm coming to you today from Gramercy Park. We could look at the park. There's the nice tulips that are coming up. And people are enjoying the day. It's a little bit colder than it's been the last couple days, but it's still a nice clear day, and we have a lot of material to go over. A lot of people are curious what's going on with Paula and Joe, who live in Gramercy Park. And I've been talking a lot about the deeds and things like that. But I wanted to catch up on a couple things. First, I want to tell you that what's behind there is the Players Club and the National Arts Club. Joe and I have been talking a lot about the problems in the court. And the court, by upholding justice, they uphold the progress of society. And Henry George explained this very well in the last chapter of his book, Progress and Poverty. Why, when a society is advancing, do you see also advancing horrible poverty? And, he even implied that even slaves were living better than some of the people that were caught up in the Industrial Revolution. So this whole issue of slavery is also an issue that's better understood by people who understand monopoly. And monopoly is definitely what Henry George was talking about. And I am coming to you today as the producer of Farther Down the Rabbit Hole. My name is Paula, Gloria, for those of you that don't know. Because I feel that the job of historians and educators who should be telling you great things, the great accomplishments of intellectuals in the past, for some reason or another, are falling down on the job. Now, I'm going to read to you something from the New York Times, something those of my regular viewers know that I have never done before. But this article was brought to my attention, and it's important, I feel, for me to share it with you and to make a few comments and to see if this can take us in the direction of creating things. We had a discussion with Joe Friendly and my husband Joe Barton about how do we create wealth, and why is it that a police state is so dangerous to the creation of real wealth, where you're making an industry out of dividing people in half and having one half run after the other half, giving them tickets and fees and fines, and then you've got the prisons that ensue from that and so on. Okay, this is about the National Arts Club. It says, Arts Club ex-president may return, judge rules. And this is an article by John Leland. Did somebody say reset button? The public sparring between the National Arts Club and its former president will continue for at least another round, a New York State Supreme Court judge ruled on Thursday. It is a setback for the club's board. The court struck down the board's February 16th decision to terminate the membership of O. Alden James, Jr. and to remove him from his apartments in the club's residence. And that's right behind me there, next to the Players Club. Also reinstated are Mr. James' twin brother, John, and a longtime friend and ally, Stephen U. Leitner. The James Group, as they are known in court papers, live to fight, and sue another day. It was a nice win, said Adam Gilbert, a lawyer for Mr. James. The two celebrated with a drink at the club's Victorian bar on Thursday night, to the consternation of their opponents. He was jumping around, hugging and kissing people, said Cherry Provost, a board member and 20-year member of the club, who has accused Mr. James of stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from the club and said she had given evidence to the State Attorney General's office. The State Attorney General's office got this evidence that he stole hundreds of thousands of dollars from the club. I'm at a level of speechlessness about this, Ms. Provost said, adding that the club's lawyer had advised her not to speak to the news media or to club members. Guess what, she added? He's getting away with it. He'll be a member. It just sickens me. Mr. James, known around the Gramercy Park neighborhood for his bow ties and rose-colored glasses, ran the club from 1986 until last summer, when he was ousted amid accusations that he had used club money and property for his own benefit, and that he and his brother had harassed members and employees. The club's financial operations under his reign are under investigation by the State Attorney General and the Manhattan District Attorney, according to the club's lawyers. Excuse me. Could you move on? I'm trying to do a TV show. Thank you. It's nice if you express your needs. Others can respond to them. You know, they could say no, and I could move. You know, the idea is we can work it out with a lot of policemen saying, hey, you don't have to have a tripod here, you're not permitted to, or whatever. Okay, so they've got the club's financial operations under investigation by the State Attorney General and the Manhattan District Attorney, according to the club's lawyers. The sparring stirred up unflattering revelations about the brothers, including detailed accounts of their compulsive hoarding. Photographs of multiple apartments and offices filled to the rafters with flea market artifacts were circulated on the internet. Ooh, imagine that on the internet. The board charged that Mr. James had bought many of the artifacts using club checks, and that his misuse of money and apartments cost the club more than $2 million in the last 6 years. Wow, $2 million in the last 6 years. Now, the point of why I'm reading all of this is we're talking about $16 trillion rather recently. That was the bailout in 2008. And they say with the default now going on in Greece, where they're not going to be, you know, the banks that were insuring these loans, I guess they call it, what, credit swap derivatives or whatever, are not honoring a 30% default, and they say they probably won't honor it if it goes down to zero, which means the euro is going to, you know, hit the tank, and you're going to need another bailout, even bigger. Well, it's not possible, because if you multiply that out, it's like every man, woman, and child here would get $650,000. The math doesn't make sense anymore. So to talk about a measly $2 million over 6 years, and you're talking about the National Arts Club here in Gramercy Park, which is supposed to be the bastion of culture and art and refinement, and what is supposed to steer the community to greater accomplishment and to protect all levels of society so that corruption doesn't take place and people are secure in their home and with their properties, that the contracts will be honored, that if they have a disagreement with another party, that disagreement can be brought before an impartial judge, not a judge that has an interest in the outcome, and that you can meet your accuser, say you fell down on a contract, say the bank says you didn't pay. So the bank takes you to court. The bank shows up, or a representative shows up of the bank that can show he's a representative of the bank. Therefore, you're not shuffling off your responsibility, hiding under a fictitious character, which would be the lawyer. But you're actually stepping up to the plate and you're saying, I was harmed in this and this manner. Here's the contract proving I was harmed. I am coming to this court for a remedy. I want to be made whole. So my point is, I really don't care about $2 million being lost over 6 years in the National Arts Club, but I do care about something more than that, and that's why I'm reading this. So, okay, they said $6 million, and it's being investigated by the State Attorney General. I mean, I would think the State Attorney General would have more important things to investigate. Supporters of Mr. James say he transformed a sleepy institution mired in debt into a thriving club with a growing membership and a positive balance sheet. While it's true I could never become a member of the National Arts Club because I didn't fit into either category, by the time I could join as you know, a patron of the arts, I didn't have any money left because I lost my money around 2003, 2004, and everybody else lost theirs much later. But I wasn't quite an artist either, and by the time I could have stood on my art, it seemed as though Alden James and I had we had political differences. But he wasn't too forthcoming to enter into a dialogue with me about it. But I'm one to say, hey, you know, let's move on. and let's figure out how we can put our heads together to get New York out of its mess, this financial mess. Why people are being kicked out of their homes. If they're owning co-ops, they go to housing court and they find out they're the owner of pretty much nothing if you look at what a proprietary lease is. But let me continue with this. So there's a positive bank balance sheet, and his critics, they say, want to usurp the James Group's prime apartments for themselves, a charge the board members deny. Well, of course they're going to deny that they're doing all this hoopla because they want to move into historic, apartment suites. In February, the club's board of governors seemed to have closed the matter when it voted to expel Mr. James, his brother, and Mr. Leitner. The James Group and their lawyers did not attend the disciplinary hearing or present a defense, calling the board a kangaroo court, whose members were already biased against Mr. James and were acting as both accusers and jury. Well, ladies and gentlemen, don't we know that very well? Doesn't every person who's has had a pot bust understand that very well about a kangaroo court, where you go and you say, if this is a court that's following the Constitution, where is my list of accusations against me? Where's the harmed party? The prosecutor comes forward only on hearsay evidence, and there's not one affidavit, not one person taking the stand for, say, the state of New York, or say it would be the city of New York, that would show how they or the entire city has been harmed, other than citing some statutes that are only relevant under the corporate jurisdiction of the United States of America domiciled in the District of Columbia. This is important to understand. This is something that could be understood by the likes of people that I'm going to read to you about. These people are fighting with each other. These are people of power and position and prestige. These are people whose artists, they hang on their decisions and hope that their artwork is going to be funded and sponsored so that culture can advance. But what we really need to do, well, let me go on and you'll see where you, the viewer, comes in. Okay, so they don't want to go to a kangaroo court. I totally respect that. I'm not into kangaroo courts either. Housing court in many ways is a kangaroo court when you're dealing with the chain of title or who has a proprietary lease or what's going on with the mortgage. Housing court is not qualified to determine a chain of title. And in the same way, this is something kind of interesting. On Thursday, Justice Carol R. EDMEAD of State Supreme Court ruled that the board could not impartially decide the James Group's fate. In overturning its disciplinary ruling, the judge ordered the parties to try the matter again in front of a neutral third party, but gave no instructions on how to choose one. Now, this is the really juicy part of the law. And that is, what is a sovereign citizen? What does it mean to have due process and equal protection? And what are the judges and what are the prosecutors in the courts? Whether you're talking about the state Supreme Court or even a kangaroo court like the disciplinary court, the disciplinary meeting that the Jameses and the Leitner didn't want to go to. Housing court's one of those. What do they call it? Family court? Family court's another really nasty one that's really involved in some very dark things. And in shows to come, we're going to be learning about that. So it's very, very important to understand what your rights are as an American who's under the Constitution, and the Constitution that was set into place at great hardship and sacrifice on the part of the Founding Fathers. So I'm going to suggest that what the good judge, Justice Carol R. EDMEAD of State Supreme Court, she said you should be in front of a neutral third party. I'm going to suggest that that neutral third party is a jury of your peers, and that the peers would be the entire city of New York, not the city that's in the jurisdiction of the District of Columbia, but the people who actually live on this land, and they work here, and they prosper here, and they try very hard to create wealth here and create culture. These are the people that you want to put a case like this forward to, because even the state Supreme Court cannot rule over a sovereign. And I'm sure that James has the best possible attorneys, And these attorneys know their limitations under the bar. They know that there's a lot higher firepower than what they can do. But so far, the James brothers seem to be doing pretty well at this moment with their lawyer.